Of all the aristocratic families that made up the Russian court, the wealthiest and most important, without a doubt, was the Yusupov family. Even the Romanovs considered themselves poor compared with their subjects, the Yusupovs. For Zinaida Nikolaevna, it was far more important than making guests believe in her wealth to convince them that this brilliance was an inseparable part of the family legend, and therefore of anyone who would become her ally. She learned this as a child, overhearing her father, Nikolai Borisovich, explain to a Parisian antique dealer the differences between the angles of Chinese jadeite and Burmese nephrite. Between business calls, he liked to pour stones from his pocket onto the table, rolling tourmalines and spessartines like fortune-telling dice. Look, Sinachka, if you can see how these two stones differ by a yellowish candle, you'll be able to see how two people differ in the dim light of fate. The little girl truly did learn to see nuances. Later, she boldly pried out any stones that had been cut even slightly worse from half-finished necklaces and made the jeweler send them back. She was interested only in those whose play of light began in the faintest ray and died away last. The beauty and value of the royal family's jewelry can be understood from the many portraits of Zinaida and from the treasure album created before the revolution. The chief treasure is considered the famous pearl Pellegrina. This flawless, drop-shaped marvel weighed 36.6 carats and often adorned the princess's ceremonial dress, including in portraits. The stone is often confused with the pearl La Peregrina, which once belonged to Philip II. The Yusupovs delighted in playing with rumors about their treasure, in no hurry to refute them. In 1866, an American magazine published an article on the Pellegrina, valuing it at $500,000. The pearl remained with the family for some time after the Revolution. Only in 1953 did Felix decide to sell it to a French jeweler. In 1989, it surfaced again at a Christie's auction, where it was sold for $463,800 to an unknown buyer. There were also jewels directly connected with one of history's most tragic queens. The Yusupovs owned several personal items that had once belonged to Marie Antoinette, among them a truly magnificent pair of diamond earrings. We are talking about imposing diamonds, one over 14 carats, the other over 20. These earrings, like the pearl, were bought in Paris by Tatiana Yusupova in the 19th century. Imagine possessing something so closely linked to such a famous and ill-fated person. No wonder Felix later regarded them as an important asset, when life turned out quite differently. The large pear-shaped diamonds, a gift from the unlucky queen's husband, Louis XVI, hang from a platinum ribbon-shaped setting topped by shield-shaped stones. The pear-cut diamonds weigh 14.25 carats and 20.34 carats, respectively, and were probably mined in India or Brazil. Marie Antoinette was arrested while fleeing the French Revolution and guillotined in 1793. Historians still wonder how the earrings managed to escape the revolution and remain in the French royal family. There is strong evidence that in 1853, Napoleon III presented these earrings to Empress Eugenie as a wedding gift. According to the Smithsonian Institution, original engravings from the wedding issue of the Illustrated London News seem to confirm that Eugenie did indeed wear the Queen's jewels. Empress Eugenie sold her personal jewels between 1870 and 1872 after her exile to England. Marie Antoinette's earrings came into the possession of Grand Duchess Tatiana Yusupova. In 1928, Felix sold them to Cartier, which in turn resold them to the American heiress Marjorie Post, who assembled a huge collection of Russian art. Today, the earrings are kept in the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C. Another jewel belonged to a former empress, this time Catherine the Great herself, the so-called black pearl necklace. The history of the necklace begins with Catherine the Great, its first documented owner. She gave these pearls to her lover, Prince Grigory Potemkin. After that, the pearls passed to Potemkin's younger niece, Tatiana, who married Prince Nikolai Yusupov. Tatiana also received the black pearl Azra and the 17-carat pink diamond Ram's Head, which I will describe later. The necklace then passed to her great-granddaughter, Zenaida. Yet, according to her son, Felix, she did not often wear jewelry, but in his memoirs he mentions that his mother put on the black pearls at a palace dinner in honor of Li Hengchong, the Chinese state figure. And, like the Pellegrina, this necklace too left Russia with Felix, awaiting a rather eventful chapter in America. One of the Yusupovs' most famous diamonds was the cushion-cut Polar Star, weighing 41.28 carats, which originally belonged to Joseph Bonaparte, elder brother of Napoleon, and was later acquired by Princess Tatiana Yusupova. In exile, beginning in 1924, the Yusupovs repeatedly pawned the diamond at Cartier in London, and later, together with other Yusupov treasures, the Polar Star was pawned at the London firm T.M. Sutton until Cartier redeemed it. The last time the Polar Star was sold was in 1980. Cartier put the diamond up at Christie's in Geneva, where it fetched $5.1 million. The subsequent fate of this magnificent diamond remains unknown. Another Yusupov diamond, pink in color and weighing 17.47 carats, received the nickname Ram, probably because of its unusual cut. Like many Yusupov treasures, this stone was sold to Cartier, whose jewelers set it into a ring for the new owner, Daisy Fellows, socialite, jewelry collector, and regular client of Elsa Schiaparelli. Legend has it that this ring with its beautiful pink diamond inspired the designer to create clothing in shocking pink. Another splendid diamond bore the name Sultan of Morocco. This unique grayish-blue diamond, weighing 35.27 carats, was mined at Golconda and remained in the possession of the rulers of Morocco until the mid-19th century. In 1840, the stone was purchased by Prince Nikolai Yusupov, and in 1923, Felix Yusupov passed it to Cartier. From that moment until 1972, the trace of the Sultan of Morocco is lost. It is assumed that this extremely rare stone, blue diamonds make up only 0.1% of all diamonds mined worldwide, was bought privately from Cartier by a buyer who wished to remain anonymous. In 1972, the diamond was sold at auction in the United States, where it was bought by a collector from San Francisco. Thus, the foundation of the Yusupov collection was already incredibly solid, filled not merely with valuable, but also deeply historical pieces. And into this sparkling heritage, Prince Felix Yusupov introduced his fiancée, Princess Irina Romanova. One can imagine that an alliance of such scale implied the creation and acquisition of a simply dizzying quantity of new jewels for the young princess. Many of them were ordered by Felix himself or by his ever-generous mother, Zenaida, from the most famous jewelry houses of the time, especially Cartier and Chaumet in Paris. As an engagement gift, Felix gave Irina a Cartier rock crystal tiara. The tiara, made of carved rock crystal set with diamonds and platinum, was created by Charles Jacot for Cartier in 1911. This icy diamond tiara is made of platinum, carved rock crystal, and diamonds arranged in lines and dots like icicles, and on top is an entire gallery of diamonds. The tiara, of incomparable refinement and beauty, crowned with a pure white diamond weighing 3.66 carats, perfectly offsets the intimate scale and icy purity of this extraordinary ornament. Despite being the Tsar's niece, Princess Irina had no right to wear court dress and the imperial regalia of Russian Grand Duchesses. Instead, she wore the Cartier rock crystal tiara together with the diamond Rivière, made from a diamond given by her uncle, the Tsar. During their honeymoon in Paris, Prince and Princess Yusupov had numerous Romanov and Yusupov family heirlooms restored at Cartier and Chaumet, among them parures that Princess Irina wore during the London season before the outbreak of World War I, when they returned to Russia, narrowly escaping custody by the Kaiser in Berlin. During the Russian Revolution, Prince Felix Yusupov was tasked with hiding not only the magnificent Yusupov family jewels, but also the collection of his mother-in-law, Grand Duchess Ksenia Alexandrovna, which were concealed beneath the staircase of the Yusupov Palace in Moscow. Although the prince and princess fled Russia carrying a few historical stones and jewels, the tiaras were not among them. The treasures remained hidden until 1925, when workers repairing the palace discovered the jewels under the stairs: 13 diadems, 25 necklaces, and 250 brooches. All were filmed and photographed by the Bolsheviks during dismantling. The metals were melted down and the stones sold abroad. The Cartier rock crystal tiara was also photographed and thus lost to history. Another of the princess's tiaras was the Chaumet sunburst tiara. Among the jewels made in Paris was a magnificent Chaumet sunburst tiara, designed to explode like sun rays and adapted for the Yusupovs so that its central element might house the legendary diamond Polar Star, which was said once to have belonged to Joseph Bonaparte, who sold it to the Yusupov princes in the 1820s. The Chaumet sunburst tiara was likewise photographed by the Bolsheviks and thus lost to history. Nevertheless, there exist several images of Princess Irina Yusupova in the Chaumet sunburst tiara in a series of portraits that may have been taken with the original tiara in the early years of World War I, or more likely were made during her exile with one of the similar diamond sunburst tiaras created by Chaumet or Cartier. A similar tiara made by Cartier in 1907 apparently belonged to the Countess of Suffolk and is now in the Al-Tanic collection of the Qatari royal family. Chaumet was also the maker of a very versatile ruby tiara for Irina. This was another wedding gift, and its clever construction allowed the rubies to be replaced by other stones, possibly emeralds, sapphires, pearls, or even large diamonds, depending on the occasion or the whole outfit. With rubies, the tiara could make quite a striking impression. In the Yusupov collection, there was another tiara known as the famous Lover's Knots. In the portrait, the princess is depicted against the background of the Arkhangelsko Palace, dressed in an impeccably white gown with delicate lace and large jewels. On her head is the precious ornament, the diamond and pearl Lover's Knots tiara. This type of tiara is special. Its design's main motif is the so-called love knot, a stylized ornament resembling a heart. The tiara consists of 19 diamond love knots, set inside 19 inverted diamond arches, and from the knots hang 19 pear-shaped pearls. The combination of these ornamental motifs has symbolic meaning. The diamond love knots symbolize the strength and integrity of marital bonds, while the pear-shaped pearls filling the arches signify purity and fidelity. Therefore, tiaras of this type were traditionally given to daughters or to sons' brides as wedding gifts. Another tiara created by Chaumet was the emerald and diamond diadem, a magnificent headpiece by Chaumet made in 1914 for Grand Duchess Irina Yusupova. With diamonds and a very large rectangular emerald in the center, it was designed in the form of a bandeau, a hairband that matched the latest fashion of the time. The diamonds were set in place and made entirely of platinum. This crown-style tiara was sold at auction in Geneva in 1971. Princess Irina May Romanova had died a year earlier in 1970. The tiara likely came from her estate and was sold by her daughter Irina. As a memory of former times, she either ordered it or acquired it after her escape, because she probably did not take it with her on the journey, as there were far more valuable things worth packing. Presumably, the Yusupovs managed to save only their famous pearls and the most important diamonds. Possibly a few sapphires were still there, and from them a small crown was made. A magnificent sapphire and diamond tiara has the shape of a crown. The upper elements are set with 5 19-carat cabochons, sapphires, and diamond mounts, and the large clasps, adorned with diamonds, end in 3 brilliant cut diamonds, forming a composition reminiscent of a clover. The base is an open-work white gold frame, in whose central elements one of 7 large brilliant cut diamonds is set. Many of her jewels Irina received at her wedding from Felix and his mother Zinaida. At the time, corsage ornaments were popular, which could be worn as necklaces as well as brooches. Chaumet created a stunning emerald parure for Irina, including a large bodice ornament that could be worn in various ways, with a striking 14-carat triangular emerald. This emerald too had a history. It had earlier been a pendant of Princess Zinaida. The set also included matching earrings. It is also worth mentioning that Prince Felix later compiled a jewelry album, and in it there is a rather curious presentation of one of the emerald pieces. He seems to have combined its image with an illustration from an auction catalog of Russian crown regalia, creating a non-existent brooch. A small but intriguing detail, how family archives and memories sometimes form their own stories. Another parure was the ruby one. To create a new ruby parure, it was necessary to extract stones from existing family jewels. A large tiara with a matching necklace and several gold brooches set with Burmese rubies weighing up to 20 carats and individual stones of 1.16 to 4.09 carats were dismantled. In total, Chaumet received about 100 top-quality rubies in their original Indian cut, a still impressive collection. Most of these splendid stones went into the precious Grande Chaîne de Rubis et Diamants, into which the 3 largest rubies were set. The remaining large stones were reserved for a new diadem. The flexible ruby chain consists of 2 sections of about 60 centimeters each, ending in lush tassels, and in the lower third joined by a large detachable buckle reminiscent of the back of suspenders. Gradually thickening platinum links are decorated with acanthus motifs. In the center of each, a large ruby is set, and between them the links are connected by smaller elements. The total weight of the diamond inlay is estimated at about 150 carats, by some calculations up to 200 carats, the largest ruby weighing about 3.9 carats. This is a very large and heavy ornament which, on its slender owner, one of the first to adopt the straight lines of avant-garde Parisian fashion, must have looked truly impressive. In addition to her personal jewelry collection, a design was made for a large divan de corsage brooch for Princess Irina Yusupova. The illustration shows the Chaumet model, in the center of which is a knot of a large cushion-cut diamond. In 1914, the princess received from Chaumet 5 exceptional gem sets belonging to the family: diamond, pearl, emerald, sapphire, and ruby. The imposing brooch belongs to the latter. The Yusupov jewel collection also contained an impressive triangular divan de corsage brooch with diamant bleu, or blue diamonds, which Princess Zinaida Yusupova wore on the bodice of her dress. Its composition is as follows: a central bow of 3 loops, in whose knot shines a large diamond, from which hangs a large diamond drop. From this knot, 3 ribbons branch, each with 2 loops and decorated with another large pear-shaped pendant. The brooch was made by Boucheron. The House of Chaumet also created for the Yusupovs a graceful aigrette in the form of a rising sun. In the center, a large diamond from which 33 diamond rays emanate. It is believed that the central stone was the Sultan of Morocco, a steel gray diamond weighing about 35.67 carats, which had been with the Yusupovs since 1840 and was sold in the late 1920s. By 1919, the situation in Crimea, where the aristocracy, including the Yusupovs, had gathered, had become hopeless. Together with the Dowager Empress Maria Fedorovna and other Romanovs, Felix, Irina and their little daughter escaped on the British warship HMS Marlborough. They left their homeland forever, taking with them only fragments of their former wealth. The remaining jewels were found by the Bolsheviks. Most were melted down, while others were secretly sold in Europe. What is surprising is that decades later, despite this destruction, the fascination with these lost treasures did not fade. So much so that in 2018, Russia decided to recreate one of Irina's most iconic tiaras, her icy wedding tiara by Cartier. The jewelry house Aksionov crafted a magnificent replica of silver, rock crystal, and topaz, which was presented to the Yusupov Palace on the Moika in St. Petersburg.